1440 by 1440, and that's a really large resolution to run. 2560 by 1080 is only about 30% more pixels than 1920 by 1080 or full high def that most people monitors likely will be at. Okay, so I've just got show FPS, show frames per second on, so that's in the top corner there so we can see. I don't have frame rate smoothing on. I haven't played with the maximum pre-rendered frames, which was something that was added in the latest patch at the time of recording this video. They say set pre-rendered frames to 3 if you're running high frame rates, like aiming for 80 or 60, and set it to 1 if you're doing the 30 frames a second. And I think I've got that correct. I've just left it at 2, you know, somewhere in between maybe. So obviously not running dynamic optimization and letting it set things, I'm going to advanced. Okay, so what we're going to see here is a bunch of settings where people are going to go, oh my lord, you must be running an NVIDIA 1080, $1,500 video card. No. $300 for my video card, admittedly second hand, last year's flagship AMD card. No, the year before that AMD card, a Radeon Fury, but not the Fury X, which was expensive. This is just a standard Fury. I think there's a Fury Nano, which is probably a better card. You can pick these cards up on clearance a couple of months ago for about 300 bucks. I got mine second hand for less, and it does the job beautifully. I did replace an NVIDIA GTX 780, which ran Battlefield at Ultra at 80 frames a second plus, on the setting, you know, the way I would have it working. Perfect card, wouldn't have replaced it. This game, however, does favour AMD cards. Certainly NVIDIA are gimping possibly their older cards. I see it across every other title, so I'm out on this one. I do know NVIDIA have been focusing on their driver releases primarily on the new cards to get the performance out the gate as good as they could. This was against industry standards. 10 years ago, we would optimise for the older cards, the newer cards having enough grunt to run the game. Nowadays, they want to sell the newest cards that come out. They optimise for the newest cards. AMD are about to have a new launch, the Vega series, and they've got 70% of their driver team working for drivers on it, and it's going to be amazing when it launches. Please, people, watch that space, get the new AMD Vega when it comes out. So we have anisotropic filtering, 16 times, shadow quality high, motion blur low, again personal preference, it was set off on the previous screen. Environment texture quality, medium. Now this is important, guys. If your video card has 4 gig of RAM or less, just set it to medium. Okay, low textures are naff. They look crap. It is not worth the slight performance benefit that I saw, even on the 780, which was a 3 gig of RAM card. Medium textures do look better, and the low frame rate juddering I was having, now that it's gone, man, I encourage you, if you can get medium textures running, run medium textures. But do know that when you change the textures, it will take a while for my trip, still coming up, to take effect. Okay, that is, you'll have to play the game, it'll have to basically load all the textures up and decrypt them once. Once they are decrypted once, we will never have any problem, and we certainly will not lose CPU performance to decrypting textures on the fly, which is a stupid idea at best of times. Anyway, static geometry high as it'll go. Dynamic geometry ultra, which for me personally is a enjoyment in the game I really like to have. That for me is a must-have ultra. Okay, anti-aliasing, 8 times. Now do not run anti-aliasing if your screen is this big. If you are running on a small screen and you don't need anti-aliasing, it is a luxury feature. It is what you turn up when you've got performance to burn. Okay, if you can turn it up and you're not losing frame rates, so be it. I've got a Fury, and apparently, even on my GTX, I could turn it up, and I had to. I actually found 2 times and 4 times anti-aliasing in this game seemed to give worse performance, so 8 times anti-aliasing it is, and as you'll see, this game is fairly smooth in my FreeSync range with 8 times anti-aliasing. Yesterday I was running it with the FXAA on as well, and when I'm sitting in my race chair, which you won't see me in off screen, I'm actually so far from the screen I can't see the anti-aliasing benefit of FXAA, so I actually turned it off because I prefer the in-car view, which generally takes about a 25% performance hit at the settings I'm running, which was about the same as what FXAA was doing. So 44 frames becomes about 45 frames with that feature off. Same with the cockpit. If you're at, say, 50 frames, you're going to drop down. If you're running at 60 frames a second, you put the cockpit on and you might drop down to, say, 50 something. I just found that turning that setting off just got me the edge. But it's actually one of the settings you can turn on and off on the fly. I'm going to turn it on right now to put it in a worst case scenario so people can see, even with settings set crazy, this game can run butter smooth even on fairly modest system rigs. And mine is quite a few years old, is a fairly modest system rig. We're talking DDR3 RAM at 1600. Yes, I've overclocked the processor, but outside of that, there's a few solid state drives, and there's a bit of a unique drive configuration, But look, I'm running a few-year-old video card. This is not by any means a ninja rig, and this game should hopefully run certainly smooth. So at the moment, all reflection qualities are set high. I don't have the expansion pack. I got no snow, so snow quality's off. Anyway, they're the settings. I'm going to go extra save, saved. Okay, I should have my driving force up and running. Yeehaw! We're out of there. Let's get out of there. Out of there. Dunka dunka dunka. Okay, so game on. 96 frames a second. I mean, that seems a bit stupid to me. Okay, if we change the view around, bam, 75 frames a second, which is what I've tweaked for. I've tweaked for in-car, at about 75 is my upper, and at the moment we're just facing out to the ocean. It's not really drawing very much. It's pretty easy to hit the upper frame rate. But what we're going to look at now is a lap of the surfer block, and we are going here worst case scenario. Okay, we are seriously going, you know, reflections all set beautifully, all the anti-aliasing on, which is a killer, and let's go for a drive. And please excuse me, I've got to say I'm not really great at race games. And I'm a casual driver at best. I just enjoy driving around. I don't go into too many of the races because I really just enjoy driving. This is, as I say, my old neck of the woods. Look, I am playing, well, straight out the gate, into an accident. Okay, I am playing with a lot of the difficulties turned right up. So it's as manual as it's going to get. Certainly I'm using a clutch pedal and a 6-speed shifter. And for the sake of this video, I'm just going to be all over the road. The reason I'm going to be all over the road is that generally making the camera spin around left and right is going to create the worst possible situation we can come up with here. So look, swinging down this street here, I'm doing 50 frames a second. Now, given the Xbox runs at 30 frames locked, and a lot of people at the moment are having major judders, we'd be all happy with 30 frames. Now just got to remember, I want my low frame rates to be above 40, and here we are coming into the tram stop, we're doing 44. Now if I hadn't hit them and stayed on the correct side of the road for Australia, I would have, look, there we go, 41, it's fit to 40, but let's go for another pass, okay? At the end of the day, I cannot make this game jerk at all anymore. I can drive for hours all around the map, and it doesn't matter where I go or how I get there. This game is smooth. So again, just ignoring the potential difficulties here. Now, what we're going to see, the first time we pass the speed camera up here is going to be the one moment where my system has always been a bit jerky. But things have gotten magically better of late. Usually I find for the first time I go through the speed camera, we drop to about 3 frames a second. No, smooth and perfect. Not that I saw the flash. Okay, so nice little bit of fishing there. This is a very custom car that I've built, tweaked out all the gear ranges and stuff, so it's got very little grip and absolutely crap brakes. And unfortunately the brakes I've left quite purposely crap. It just keeps my class as an A-class car and allows me to have a really fast car that becomes quite uncontrollable. And I just have to predict turns and drive accordingly. Anyway, we're doing 50 frames a second again down the strip here at about this point. What we'll find there, that seemed like a 1 frame jerk there, which is very unusual. I haven't seen any of that of late, but it might just be me imagining it or blinking my eyes. Okay, so we're coming through the tram stop, still maintaining above 40, but as you can see, smooth as. You know, and there really isn't anything I can do to lower that, okay? So even with everything going on at the moment, and I'm just going to get a bit of a spin here, we're doing 45 frames a second, and look, it's not a tricky time of day, there isn't anything tricky going on with reflections and rain and stuff. But with the settings I'm currently running on a Fury, which isn't in any way an over-the-top card by today's standards, this game is smooth everywhere I go, no matter what I do. Okay, I am thoroughly enjoying it, and it would be good if I could show some smooth gameplay, hey? But there we go, 40, 43, all the way through the tram stop, and that's only because I've tweaked my game to have lows of 43. You know, lows of 40, up to 75 is what I've optimised for, because I can't see any frame rate differences between 40 and 75, generally with FreeSync. That's the beauty of FreeSync, and it has been absolutely a brilliant thing. I had the FreeSync monitor before I had the card. I would have happily stuck with my NVIDIA card. NVIDIA aren't playing well with open standards. They want to sell G-Sync for premium money, which makes sense. There is actually chips they have to implement in their monitors, and G-Sync might be the superior standard, but it's in about 90% less monitors, and at the moment everyone's going to go with AMD FreeSync, and NVIDIA did say that if they have to support FreeSync they will. I highly encourage users, vote with your wallets, go the FreeSync path, and look, AMD for the win. AMD are in all of the consoles at the moment, even though I've been pretty much, I've been open to either category all my life. I've had just about every NVIDIA card since the days of the TNT, and we're talking the 90s there, and I probably went through a bunch of things from TNTs to some of the first of the GeForce series and the GeForce 2 MX and all the little variants that work their way up. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is, just having shown that my settings are set quite high and that Surface is actually running as smooth as anything, and I really hope my camera is capturing that, and I'm just trying to show that I really can't get this game to be jerky. Anyway, going to put a bit of speed now through. Let's cut through the middle of Surface, and I'll continue on. Now while I do that, I'm going to talk about what